It is time for everybody's favorite show, which was a segment, but now it's a show, and it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week.
Where's the guy that has papers everywhere in his room?
So now Dave Meltzer tries to sell AEW to Paramount, okay? And we went over this. I just want to quickly... So Niccolo Piccolo goes, you don't know anyone at Paramount. Here's Dave talking about the DOJ's antitrust division announced 6/12 it was closing the investigation without imposing any requirements for divestitures or other concessions on the part of David Ellison's Paramount Skydance. Tony Khan, has of course expressed nothing but a positive vibe and called the deal the best thing for him, for the best guy, the best thing for the best guy, citing the potential for larger platforms for the company and a friendship with Ellison coming from working together on NFL projects. So fire Mick Foley because his silence is complicit. Cancel him now. Others have claimed that UFC being a part of Paramount Plus will doom AEW. No, it's not just UFC being a part of it. Dave, it's what you're saying. Well, AEW does 500,000 viewers. Yeah, on TNT Sport. Apparently, they're going to do away with that, and it's just all going to be on Paramount Plus. And if there is TNT, it might go away. It might just be a streaming thing. We don't even know yet. And that's not going to translate, okay? The 500,000 and the people on HBO Max aren't all going to start buying Paramount every month necessarily, and it's not going to translate from TV to Paramount. They don't care about pay-per-views. Oh, they do great pay-per-views. They just paid the UFC $7.7 billion to not do pay-per-views anymore. They just did $17 million for the UFC Freedom 250 show. And it's because of that. They're down with Trump. They're down with Musk. They're down with Ari Emanuel. They're down with Dana White. They're down with Triple H. They're down with the McMahons. That's who they're down with, dude. They're down with Peter Thiel and Joe Rogan. And but that's who they're down with, okay? That's what it has to do with. UFC is just a huge extension of that. UFC is an example of business-wise why they don't give a fuck about any of the you're selling. Dave's like, well, it's low cost and they do good pay-per-views. They just paid UFC $7.7 billion to stop doing pay-per-views, Dave, entirely. And then they put on this huge show. They did 17 million viewers, the same viewership as a Netflix MMA show with Ronda Rousey on it. Netflix has 4 to 5 times their reach globally. So Paramount's licking their chops, and guess what? Conor McGregor's back in 2 weeks.
Stupid idiot.
Conor McGregor's coming back in 2 weeks, buddy. Or a week now. When is that? A week? 2 weeks? I don't know. Everything. There's so many events. So, Dave, they don't care about AEW's cheap to put on, and they do good paper. They don't care. They're saying, what kind of big, spectacular, crazy events can you do for us to where we don't need you to do pay-per-view? We'll just use it to sell Paramount and get more subscribers. AEW's not going to bring in more subscribers to Paramount. And if it is, it's an insignificant number. What don't you understand about that, Dave? You don't study and learn, Dave. You don't have sources. You're trying to spin it and pitch it and go, well, because of other NFL projects. Right, Ellison's nice to Tone. It's just business. So he's nice to him because of NFL stuff, because of his dad. He's not nice to him because of AEW. Now, if he was nice to him because of AEW, okay. But otherwise, they don't give a about that. Dana White looks at AEW guys and goes, I'll pay you to power slap. 10 and 10. 10 to show up, 10 if you win. Not even that much, but to power slap. That's how he views it. Like you're just a goofball. And then also Ronda Rousey went on AEW programming to go TKO to try and sell her fight that they directly competed with, that everybody was comparing the ratings to. Are we forgetting that? So it's not because UFC's on there. Dave tries to simplify it for his retarded audience who just lap this up and believe everything he says. And we're going to actually go over a post from someone who might be trolling because it's just the brain rot is uncanny. But Dave Meltzer simplifies it, and then he tries to extrapolate that into, well, Tubi has WWE Evolve, and apparently if you're a TKO affiliated property, other like AEW's not allowed on those things, but AEW's on Tubi. Yeah, because anyone can go on Tubi. I could film a show on my iPhone and put it on Tubi. You're cooked. You just don't even know what you're talking about. So, anyways, those at Paramount have said that one thing does not relate to the other. Nobody at Paramount said that to you. None. Nobody. Quote who it was. Give me a quote, and where are you sourcing that from? Because you cannot just say those at Paramount. You don't know anybody at Paramount, Dave.
Poor people don't like AEW.
Others have claimed that UFC, those at Paramount said that one thing does not. And when he says others have claimed that, you mean people on Twitter? In the long run, as it relates to AEW, one way or another, this will all come out in the wash in about 1 year, as the two sides will either be negotiating a new deal in the summer or they will cancel the shows. Obviously, AEW could likely find another media outlet, but the question is always, can they find one that would pay the same range? Do you see this? So Dave is like, oh, Tone, no, you have to hold out for the $185 million. So the truth is their last TV deal was not, it was upwards $185 million, estimated at $165, not in cash, not at all in cash. Tone has to subsidize tons of shit. They have not made money. They might be bringing in the most revenue. Okay, there's no proof of that. But if they are, cool, not profitable, not a big deal. Not all companies are profitable. And especially after 7 years, whatever. But Tone could have ran this as a profitable operation if he was smart this whole time. But that's besides the point. Dave is sitting here going, oh, if they can find one at the same level, nobody's going to offer them $185 million. Nobody's going to offer them that. They'll get more than TNA. Nobody's going to offer them that. And Tone is clearly rolling out my AEW. That's what it's all about for him, and he's not trying to spend money right now. They asked him at the media calls about acquiring like the tape library to PWG and like old like Lucha Underground and old feds so they can air their stuff on my AEW. And Tone's like, no, I'm just interested in current indies and stuff. Why, guys? Because he is trying to sell my AEW to everybody in every little local territory. You like your local indie, you can follow it on TV, essentially, my AEW, plus you get all of our shows. And Tone pays based on retention rate and shit, Dave. Stuff you don't even talk about because you don't know nothing about that. My gut, if that's not canceled, that Paramount Skydance would just go with the option year deal, which would be a far number. Here's the thing, Dave. Even if they do the option year, which I doubt they will, but even if they do, okay, they also technically own 25% of it. So maybe they're like, yeah, we'll scrape up the year. Like, nobody's even saying they won't do the option even. But it's just the fact of the matter. If WWE and these guys look at AEW, and if the Ellisons don't try and put together a deal where WWE absorbs AEW in some capacity, then they're just going to go, whatever, fuck you. We don't want anything to do with this. Now, why? Again, I point you guys towards a gentleman named Napoleon Blown Apart. Napoleon Blown Apart, all one word, not Bonaparte, but Blown Apart, all one word. He does MMA documentaries. He talks about WWE and pro wrestling here and there because there's overlap, right? And in one of his recent docs, he talks about TKO and how it's affecting pro wrestling and stuff like that, as well as MMA and UFC, and what TKO's objective is. And this is what Niccolo Piccolo has fucking DM'd me about. He's fucking tweeted out ad nauseum. He's fucking let it be known to the world. What TKO's trying to do is like, they're just trying to own wrestling. That's why they have the ID, because then they have control over the indies too, and building the fucking indie stars. Look at Starboy Charlie getting pulled off shows and shit. They just want to run wrestling. That's why they started their own bull riding league, because we'll just own that. Is there a big deal? Is there a big time professional bull riding league? No, well, we'll just make one. Oh, pro wrestling? Yeah, we'll just be the top dogs of that. MMA? Yeah. UFC, we have the biggest fucking And that's what UFC was already doing. They bought Strikeforce, they bought Pride, they absorbed everything the same way WWE did. So TKO's initiative is we'll just start a power. Well, I mean, that wasn't TKO. That was more Dana White's venture. But when it comes to Power Slap, but essentially they're just going to create the leagues, and they're going to be the ones to run. They want to run the whole of certain things, not fucking have a little piece of the pie of the pro wrestling. So what AEW offers is the challenger brand, store-bought brand piece of the slice of the pie. And they're like, dude, we have fucking Gordon Ramsay fucking filet mignon. What's his what's Gordon Ramsay's specialty dish? I forget what it's called. The Wagyu beef, Brian. He does the beef Wellingtons, right? You got beef Wellingtons over here. You guys are talking about some McDonald's over there. No, I'm trying to do a play on the Wagyu beef because that was the cope for the longest time, right? But you guys have like a small, like store-bought brand piece of the pie of pro wrestling. You're a super indie. TKO doesn't want anything to do with that. So it's not because UFC's on there. It's because it's either you fucking merge with WWE and sell it to WWE. And it could happen, guys. Let me explain. AEW, and I've always said this, Tone would sell AEW to WWE in 1 minute if, and this is a big
Sometimes
if,
in life you got to be a hoe.
Tone could get a job in creative, in Gorilla with Triple H, going to every Raw, going to every SmackDown. In fact, Tone was going to buy WWE in 2023 after all the allegations and shit. He put in bids.
The best guys, Tony Khan.
So what does that tell you? What would he have done? Do you think Tone would have prioritized Raw and working with TKO and doing all this crazy business and working with Nick Khan? And you think Nick Khan would be dipped out because if he bought WWE? No, bitch. He'd be working with all these people. Let's say Tone bought WWE. He wouldn't take the Saudi money anymore and shit. So Tone's down to take Saudi money. You think he would have switched it up where he'd want this juggernaut? Where do you think his focus would go? Would he be focused on Dynamite more or going to every Raw and putting his fingerprints all over that? What do you guys honestly think? What do you sickos out there think? We all know what your fucking wet dreams are.
Brian.
Okay? And you guys know, like I do, Tone is a mega WWE fan. And he would go and book Raw and SmackDown. He'd be all fucking over that shit. He'd be in Gorilla going, oh, it's great. Yeah, I like that one. He tried to buy WWE, he put in a bid. He wanted to buy WWE. So where do you think his priorities would lie? So we all know this. We're all not fucking stupid like Dave thinks everybody is. Just he's really dumb and he's hanging on a thread of hope. You're offering like a little piece of the pie of like the pro wrestling business. TKO's trying to be the wrestling business. TKO has politics with the Ellisons and all of this shit. You just got to understand that, Dave. That's what it's all about. Rock, it's what it's all about. It's what we live for. Come on, shout it out. Dave Meltzer, he responds to Front Row Brian. Now, Front Row Brian's gone at it with Nicolo Piccolo even. He goes at it with whoever the fuck, but he's knowledgeable, whether you like him or not, whether he likes you or not. You have to accept this. He's knowledgeable and knows what he's talking about when it comes to the business aspect of this shit. And especially when it comes to MMA and pro wrestling, he just doesn't watch pro wrestling and shit. But Front Row Brian on Twitter said that UFC rights was right in line with what Wall Street analysts were forecasting. An overpay would have been 2.5x step up average annual value. They came in at 1.9 to 2 times step up. So basically shutting down Dave's narrative of like, they paid this, and of course they'll take AEW on. They paid this inflated number. Front Row Brian is hitting him with a technicality here. Study and learn, Dave. Dave quote tweets it and goes, given AEW in 25 did roughly the same TV ratings as UFC. AEW did 60% or more of UFC on pay-per-view. Prove that. Prove that, Dave, or go to fucking jail. Dave's unhinged.
Liar! Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
Prove that shit. With the same comparisons in line for what AEW should get, also factor in AEW is even better when guarding against churn because UFC audience varies greatly based on main event, while AEW on Wednesday will give you a solid number 52 weeks a year and far less pay-per-view variation. No, Dave. No. On TNT, you might get 500,000 viewers every week. They don't care about that because that's not going to translate into viewership on Paramount. They just gave the UFC 7.7 billion or whatever, again, to not do pay-per-views and to not be on TV. And guess what show's on TV? The Ultimate Fighter. Or no, I think it might even be on Paramount. Guess who's not watching it? Everybody's not watching it. Most MMA fans are like, I didn't even know the Ultimate Fighter season started again. So Dave goes, 600 million per year sounds low based on 1.1 billion not being an overpay. So Dave is sitting here comparing them. AEW, if you gave them 600 million per year to stay with Paramount, that sounds low, actually, if you think about UFC that got a 7-year deal at 7.7 billion. Holy fuck, Dave. You're mental. Bro, you don't know a goddamn thing.
Dave is the devil. Oh.
You're cooked. He's comparing it to UFC, man. That just did 17 million. Connor's back in 2 weeks. They turned away the Ronda fight so that she could go get more money elsewhere. Dave, you have no idea what's even going on. 600 million per year is low for AW, even though their ratings and attendances are the shits compared to their last TV deal when they got their last TV deal. And they got upwards 185 million that time. So it's doing worse, except for Dave's lie pay-per-view numbers. And people are like, well, they drew 14,000 for Double or Nothing. Okay, and they drew 15,000 roughly for Sting's retirement too. Their ticket prices are the lowest they've ever been. That's what they're flexing. Bring the family. Tickets are cheap. So who gives a fuck? That's good for them. They should be. Your big major SummerSlam, WrestleMania type show, Double or Nothing, should draw 14K. You're in fucking New York. Do you know how many million? There's more people in New York than are in fucking Canada, I'm pretty sure. You should draw 14K for that show. Raw or WWE did a house show at MSG and did 19K or whatever the fuck the number was. Not even long before that. So what do we, okay, good for them. That is solid, amazing, but so you should be doing. It's like the Chris Rock joke where he's like, grown bitches will be saying things like, I pay my bills. I don't go to jail. And he's like, bitch, you supposed to pay your bill. You ain't supposed to go to jail, motherfucker. Shout out Chris Rock, man. He's one of the goats. But anyways, Dave is just coping here. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And I wrote this. I was like, what the fuck do they care about 500 to 700K viewers on TV that won't translate to Paramount Plus or pay-per-view? They gave UFC $7 billion to not do pay-per-view anymore. And then I get responses. No one believes they got 17 million viewers, except for they did. Even their fucking detractors accept that shit. And then this guy here, none of their shows came close to 17 million regularly. Nobody said regularly, dumb fuck. Holy shit. And they've already said they would go back to the White House. Nope. Dana White said the opposite. So again, you have these AEW fans, these uneducated, dumb motherfuckers that Dave is like they're high IQ aliens from another, and they're all rich millionaires.
Poor
who
people
love AEW.
don't like AEW.
Meanwhile, they come in the comments and they just literally talk out of their ass, like what Dave accuses everybody else of doing. This is what you guys do. Here's the proof, Dave. And then you have someone with sensibility, exactly, especially if we're going to analyze in their own market what WWE Raw is getting on Netflix. 2.4 to 3.5 million. Then they see AEW with their 580K. It's like seeing some girl at the gym waddling around and then walking right in front of her is Jade Cargill. Well, that's a good comparison. Every penny counts with Ari Emanuel. That's racist. No. And then this guy goes, when was the last time Dynamite got 700K? So again, he's felting Dynamite, but it's like, true that, buddy, but I'm being generous. I said 500K to 700K. So yeah, shout out some people who get it here. Somebody in quotations, because Dave. And then, yeah, you just have people like 17 million viewers, and then they're getting linked to like actual journalists who actually study the business. Dave is a fake MMA reporter. All of the fucking pro wrestling fans, the same way they were like, the Ronda Rousey fight was a work. No, you guys just don't watch MMA. You're not MMA fans. You're pro wrestling fans. You don't know shit. You think everything's a work. You don't know shit when it comes to that world, okay? And then same with Dave. He has his sycophants believing the shit he says about MMA. When in the MMA world, the only thing they source Dave Meltzer from is his numbers, or for rather, is his numbers when it comes to ticket sales historically and for current events and for numbers that he gives. However, the MMA audience, and I see the comments, man. I see the comments. I commented under a prominent account that posted a Dave Meltzer, like a prominent MMA account, and I fucking posted like, Dave's a fraud in the pro wrestling business. He's considered the biggest fraudulent fuck of all time. Soon the MMA audience will catch on. And a bunch of people like that shit. I should have bookmarked it, maybe for next show. And a bunch of people responded and were like, yeah, that's facts and shit. So I cannot wait until the MMA audience realizes he's just full of shit too. But again, he wrote shit down. So for some of these obscure MMA events, or like back in the day, if like a Pride event did numbers and MMA was considered like a fucking brutal death cockfighting blood sport, Dave would report numbers. Like he would be the guy to go, here's what Tokyo Sports said that Pride did. They sold 17,000 tickets or whatever. I'm just making shit up. And then he would report that. So same thing in MMA, but his wrestling sycophants and the people who are majorly his followers believe what he has to say about UFC and MMA and shit. And it's like, no, you guys they did 17 million. And the numbers I'm giving you, I lowballed UFC too in that tweet. I said they gave him 7 billion. They gave them 7.7 billion. That's a huge fucking difference right there. And so Dave responds to this guy, Paul Ace Fontaine. So put your mittens on your kittens and away we go. So Dave Meltzer responds to this Paul Fontaine, who goes, I don't believe they're over 1 million every week, but there's no way to know. Just objective facts. They're not over 1 million, Dave, and there's no way to know. Dave goes, actually, if panel is close to 800 and 200 from max, that's 1 million. What? Dave, what? How? What?
Learn, baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
Holy shit. Nobody knows, but 200 feels a conservative estimate, especially consider the only numbers reported were far higher. No numbers were reported. BJ Bethel fucking lied.
Stupid idiot.
And the numbers for the NBA are like 180,000 or whatever.
For, the young superstar, babyface, that former heel thing.
So no, Dave, there was nothing reported. Again, you're embellishing the truth. BJ Bethel's a fraud, and 200 doesn't feel conservative if you compare it to the NBA. You don't know shit. You want to say you'd be a top NFL reporter? You'd be laughed out of the room if you tried to tell NFL and NBA reporters that AEW was beating any of those shits on Max. And if they were doing 200K, for a fact, Max would melt down and go, we did over 1 million views, and we know because they've done it for other sports. So WBD would go, including the simulcast, Lakers, Mavericks, 2.8 million or whatever the fuck, right? 28 million watched, and that was about 200,000 watched on fucking HBO, and it was a like 10% conversion or whatever the fuck, or like just like less than 10% conversion. And then Dave sits here and goes, 30%, 40% if they do 40%. By Dave's a fraud. The rumors are, and this is courtesy of Famous Davis. Okay.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
And just what people have said, but he went on record and said it. So I'll divert people's attention to him because he gave a specific. I'll tell you this. The rumors are it's the tens of thousands. I've always maintained if they do not, I've always said I'll give them 100,000. If it came out, they do 90,000 viewers, I'd be like, okay, it's actually pretty good. What I personally think is they maybe 50,000 is like lucky. Famous Davis said he heard, and I don't know, is he a good dirt sheet? I don't know. He quit Body Slam. They released everybody after that fucking Nicolo Piccolo interview. It's funny when you Google Nicolo Piccolo, my interview with him comes up on the fucking, it's hilarious. Because it was just an off the cuff, like he's in chat. I'm like, oh shit, is he in chat? Come on the show. Well, he actually was like, let me on the show. And I was like, okay, come on the show. I actually didn't even realize. So And it was a brilliant interview, and it comes up when you Google him, so that's pretty cool. But pat myself on the back there. Famous Davis, when he had Nicolo Piccolo on, he said that the rumors were they were getting 20K viewers, dude. 20 fucking K across all their shows, like Collision, Dynamite, For the Week, 20K. Now, is that real? Is he just an AEW hater? Is he just talking shit? I don't know. I don't know much about him. He just kind of blew up on the scene out of nowhere. It wouldn't shock me. If they came out and said 25,000 viewers, I'd hit him with the Nate Diaz. I'm not surprised, motherfucker. Meltzer said, what's this? 200K is a conservative estimate, in quotes, especially when you factor in and compare it to the completely fictitious made-up number by the lying AEW stan, Ohio high school sports reporter, which is BJ Bethel, and he just made that shit up. And so Raj Giri felt Dave too. Shout out Raj Giri. He says, so what's more accurate, panel or panel plus big data? Oh, you don't know? Nielsen has showed how flawed their numbers are. But you want to compare those numbers over a Netflix streaming number. Different methodologies, different companies monitoring them, and different things. I can't stress this enough. Even my AEW is going to pay the indies on their shit based on retention rate and things like that. Things that Dave, nobody brings up like, well, can we get the retention rate numbers? That's really important. Meanwhile, ask any YouTuber, ask your boy Phil S. Marks. Let me tell you what's the most important thing. More important than subs, more important than fucking a lot of different things. Okay? It's the fucking retention rate. That's especially what YouTube, that's what Tubi does. It's the same type of fucking deal. Tone will be lucky to get one like that from Amazon or something. Okay? Nobody's paying $600 million to maybe get what is like Paramount thinks what they're going to convert 500,000 people. And now all the people who signed up to Max now got to jump over to Paramount Plus, or it'll just merge and then your Max account, HBO Max account will become Paramount Plus, or does Paramount go, no, we're going to keep HBO Max its own thing? We don't even know yet. But Dave's sitting there like, oh yeah, Tone doesn't even have the numbers, but 200,000 is conservative, even though the NBA doesn't do 200,000 for some of the games that Warner Bros. Has flexed publicly. And Netflix doesn't. Netflix looks at like 10 different key demos, kids being a huge factor, and it's about retention rate and replays and shit like that. Those are like two of the most important fucking factors. Are people rewatching shit? And how long can we just keep them on our app with our programming? You notice you go on Netflix, it's like the fucking casino. You can't see outside. There's no time. There's no clock. You go on your YouTube app on your TV. It doesn't show you what time it is. Why? Because they just want you clicking on the next thing, clicking on the next thing. If AEW can't do that, AEW can't even keep people on to watch Collision when it's right after Dynamite, buddy. So Raj Giri goes, you like to do the AEW versus Raw comparison when you can use make-believe numbers, but just tell me, I'm dyslexic. If more people are watching Dynamite than Raw, that would mean a shitload of people are watching SmackDown over Raw. Don't you get it, Dave? By your own... The funniest part with Meltzer math is that people have been using Meltzer math to destroy... Dave. Like, he's been getting cooked with his own... Like, people are like, I'm being fair, and they give him his own numbers right back to him, and then he gets owned. And I've said this since day one. Since Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week was a fucking segment on PWT Live show every Wednesday and Saturday night. I've said it since day one. The shit that Dave says about AEW, it just blows up in their face. He always embarrasses himself with this stuff and puts his foot in his fucking mouth and makes them look stupid because they can't live up to what he fucking says. And then he always makes WWE look better when you just want to break down mathematicals and shit. Do the mathematics. Okay? So he doesn't understand when he's like, oh, they're beating Raw. Okay, but then you're saying SmackDown's beating Raw as well. And you don't get, but you're like, SmackDown's in the shit. And and here's the thing too, less people attend SmackDown. It's the shittier of the two wrestling shows between Raw and SmackDown. Dynamite's the shittiest of all three, and the least amount of people go watch it. It's safe to assume it goes in that order, viewership-wise, too, Dave. Dynamite's not even beating SmackDown. Listen to how Raj just breaks this down with Dave's own logic. If more people are watching Dynamite than Raw, that would mean a shitload of people are watching SmackDown over Raw. Do you really believe that? SmackDown beat Dynamite by 67% in the demo last week. and SmackDown had much tougher competition. Thrown in imaginary max numbers, whatever, but if Dynamite beat Raw, that would mean that SmackDown is likely doubling Raw and the attendance. The only real fair comparison. Say otherwise, get the fuck out with that nonsense. And again, we brought up the chart that Raj Giri dropped, and I showed it on the show before, Time Cop. It's a 1-to-1 comparison. TV ratings to attendances, the drop-off. Now, again, correlation does not always mean causation, but motherfucker, looking at that 7-year graph of how it's like 1-to-1 when the TV ratings are down, so are the fucking attendances. What do you want people to believe, man? What are we supposed to believe? That's why math exists. Math is a wonderful thing. Ba, 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 ba. Math is a really cool thing, Dave Meltzer. So again, SmackDown would be smoking Raw and fucking Dynamite, which isn't the case. And objectively, we can all agree SmackDown's the shittier of the two shows, Raw and SmackDown, and less people attend it. So it's probably fair to say that Raw's the most attended and the most viewed. SmackDown's the second most attended and the most viewed. And then Dynamite's the third most attended and the most viewed in that order if we're just comparing those three shows. Because using Meltzer math, Dynamite's beating Raw, so then SmackDown's beating Dynamite and Raw. That doesn't even make sense. You know?
Liar! Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
So speaking of the ratings, Dave Meltzer goes, guess what, Brian or Garrett? The ratings are changing again late this summer. So just a little backstory here. The Big Plus panel data with Nielsen is a different methodology than it was previously. And since they dropped the Big Plus, which like last year, I guess, or it's been one full year since they used the Big Plus panel data, which then they switched the methodology once already, which was public. Everybody knew about it. And then Dave Meltzer, with no verification, okay? Nobody verified this at all. Dave Meltzer said that at the end of April, they changed the ratings again.
Just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
Nobody backed Dave up. So the prior change that Nielsen did, it was announced and they put millions of dollars into changing the methodology, and sports love it, but wrestling took a hit. Then they switched it up. Then wrestling was like inflated. And then according to Dave, they switched it up again, but nobody can really prove that. But people like myself and Raj Giri just give Dave the benefit of the doubt on that again. When we don't have to, but we do, because you can just own him anyways, even harder when you just go based off his shit. Because it just always blows up in his face, as we've showcased. So now Dave is claiming nobody's backed this up, but they're changing again. Whoa, it's going to change again. And is it going to be good or bad for wrestling? Who fucking knows? Let's listen to Dave Meltzer cope about this.
You mentioned that ratings are going to change again late this summer.
I know. That could be good.
Everything's streaming. Who cares? And Dave goes, it could be good. It's only good in your mind if it means AEW is doing better ratings. It could be good for AEW. I mean, it could be good for what? For wrestling? Like, unless they sit there and go, we scientifically developed a way to read people's minds and we know exactly what they're watching and each individual, and here's the exact precise number. Who cares? This shit is obsolete. Fade away and classify myself as obsolete. Delete. It's obsolete, dude. It does not fucking matter, bro. It's all about like streaming and retention rate and pay-per-views dead and shit.
It could be even worse. We don't know. It's just, I mean, the thing that really blew my mind was I didn't get the number this week, but those 2 weeks where I got the panel numbers, it's like, they're so different. It's like, the SmackDown looks like it's at numbers that I would say are way too low for its price tag. The numbers that they're getting now. Obviously when USA spent whatever the number was, it's in the 270 million range, 275, to get this show, they were expecting closer to 1.5 million than 1 million viewers, closer to 0.45 than a 0.20. And a lot of it, I mean, it did decline, but a lot of the decline is this artificial decline. I mean, if you look at the panel numbers, they're so much bigger. And AEW is like, I mean, the pure panel number is like, they're great numbers by the last several year standards. I mean, they're absolutely great. And, you still have however many people watching on Max. So it's like, it's with AEW, it's a real comeback, but no one knows because the way they switched the ratings the ratings methodology with adding big data, wrestling just gets screwed. And I guess I actually have some discussions coming up this week to help me understand what makes no sense. So maybe I'll have an answer of why things make no sense more than was in this week's issue, where somebody who is a real ratings expert, and saw the difference between the panel stuff and everything, and basically this is the explanation. But I will get an even better explanation hopefully this week.
Yeah, we're all looking for a better explanation too. Like, what happened to your hair? Why do you break the hats out sometimes? Is that when the Just for Men wears off? Or, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week.
Where's the guy that has papers everywhere in his room?